Welcome to the Great Wrestling Debate.
Fans wanted something else. They still loved pro wrestling, but they didn't want what Vince McMahon was really giving them.
There was no direction. You could see it deteriorating right in front of our faces.
So bad and so in the toilet, and none of it made any sense.
There is only so much bad television you can watch before you stop wasting your time.
Welcome to the Great Wrestling Debate, everybody. And speaking of people only watching so much bad television, at least in their own eyes, and that to my eyes as well, I gotta test to as well. Obviously, this is the first edition, I guess, in a long time since it was called TW Wrestling Talk on this YouTube channel, where there was just my voice doing the show here, and that was because, of course, Wayne has decided to, obviously, if you've been listening, keeping up with the Great Wrestling Debate over the course of the past couple of years, as of late, heading into WrestleMania season, and basically after the first edition of Raw after WrestleMania, of course, Wayne decided to that just wasn't going to really follow the product anymore, and he unsubscribed from the network, and so I guess take that, WWE and Vince McMahon and everything, and as far as the that goes. And of course, last week we didn't have an edition of the Great Wrestling Debate. I figured it was a crazy busy week, and I figured I'd just condense things. I mean, hey, the Authority was on vacation last week and wasn't present on Monday Night Raw, so, I guess if they're going to take a vacation, I guess, I decided I'd take a week off and get things ready as we move forward here. Nevertheless, we carry on with the Great Wrestling Debate, or I carry on, I guess. And, fortunately, I guess while I'm still attending Kutztown University for just a few more weeks, I'm able to now. I figured I'll do this edition of the Great Wrestling Debate, and at least the next few editions of the Great Wrestling Debate, right here at the Kutztown Radio Studio in the production room. So that's in case you've been following the Great Wrestling Debate and have noticed a nice upgrade here in production quality. That's why. So be able to improve that, and I'm in the process of, I'll soon be getting a new computer and everything after graduation, I'm sure, because there's just we'll just say the computer I've been working with, it's had quite some limitations.
Man's got to know his limitations.
So therefore, after graduation and not being here at the Kutztown Radio production studio, we'll improve. We'll hopefully improve. Keep the quality up to par, like this kind of quality should be right now, production-wise. Because Wayne and I, we used to have to, we sat there because we don't have multiple headsets or anything that we're gonna use, and we don't have a hybrid audio console like we do here, and high quality microphones and everything to do the show. So we sat there and my laptop typically, and went through like a Logitech webcam microphone and stuff like that. But now it's now we're moving up in the world a little bit. And since it's just me doing the Great Wrestling Debate alone, but I'd like to hear opinions, you can always comment on the YouTube channel or comment on this video. I'll see the emails and with things going on with WWE, things we talk about on the Great Wrestling Debate, and you send comments, thoughts, can always share them on the show, on each, the weekly edition of the Great Wrestling Debate that pops up. I'll be looking into the future as I continue here with this, this state of the Great Wrestling Debate address here, I guess you could call it. I'll be looking in the future. Who knows? Maybe I'll get some, maybe I'll slowly come out of the Stone Age a little bit, and maybe I'll, when I do get my new computer down the road, maybe I'll have Skype hooked up to this, or, some kind of, where, like, there could be a certain time where I do the Great Wrestling Debate, keep you posted on it, and then that way you'll know when I'm doing the debate, and then maybe you can check in with in the middle of the show, get your voice heard on the Great Wrestling Debate. Share your thoughts live, I guess you could say, kind of live, maybe not in in the sense that it's a YouTube video and that it's not a live radio broadcast or anything, but I think you get the point. So nevertheless, let's proceed through here with this kind of this new era, I guess you could call it, of the Great Wrestling Debate. As I mentioned earlier, the past last week I didn't do an edition of the Great Wrestling Debate. I figured, it was just a hectic week, and for those who don't know, I watch wrestling right now. I pretty much watch everything on YouTube, everything being Monday Night Raw, because for quite a while now, I mean, SmackDown, for all intents and purposes, has been an irrelevant show for the past few years, we'll say. I mean, we can just say, I mean, and Wayne and I have talked about this all the time, how they'd have a match on SmackDown, and then the next edition of Monday Night Raw would essentially be, all right, well, they're having the same match they had on SmackDown. So if you didn't see it, didn't watch it on SmackDown, it doesn't matter. You're going to see it on Raw anyways. So it's... I used to watch, Once Upon a Time. I remember when I first started even doing the Great Wrestling Debate, I remember I'd do when they even had somewhat of a brand extension into place. I remember I'd do an edition of, TW Wrestling Talk, it was called at the time. I'd do one, like, after, to recap what happened on Raw. And I also did one to recap on, what happened on SmackDown. That was 3 years ago now. How the time flies. And then I just kind of, like, started condensing things into one episode of TW Wrestling Talk, and then eventually it's kind of just like, all right, SmackDown is pretty much irrelevant, and I'm not even really going to cover it. I mean, that's the state of the WWE right now. I mean, that's, if there's any, I guess criticism over that, or, I mean, like look, Corey, the Great Wrestling Debate, for those who don't know, it used to be a three-man show. Wayne's brother Corey used to be on it, and then he just said, I'm done with this, probably,
I'm not going to tolerate your crap today.
It wasn't anything like that, but it was like, I'm done with WWE. And then about a year later, surely enough, Wayne just had enough as well. In conjunction with, the whole Service Electric cable thing and TV updates, not being able to get a lot of channels unless you go out and buy a new box or whatever, essentially to do what I do, and was kind of, I guess pigeonholed to, well, I guess we'll look up what happened on YouTube on Monday Night Raw, and that can be tough at times. I mean, you look through, I mean, at least for me, but I look through the YouTube videos of Monday Night Raw, and it's, sometimes it's a little hard to actually find a decent quality video where the audio is actually playing at, where the video and the audio is playing at the right speed and the right tone, and, you have, oftentimes I'm playing it, I start a video up, and, I hear Michael, instead of Michael Cole sounding like his usual self, I got goosebumps! It's more like, welcome everybody to Monday Night Raw, and it's like, well, this is, we're not going to do that. We're not watching this video. And sometimes you have to do a little digging. And, maybe people wonder, well, why are you still doing the Great Wrestling Debate then? If, it's still something I enjoy, something because for those who don't, I'm a electronic media major. My main focus is on radio up here in southeastern PA, I guess you can call it. And essentially, I'm keeping up with podcasting after graduation here. I figure it wouldn't hurt to do it. And so I'll continue to cover Monday Night Raw. I'll continue to follow wrestling. I mean, I guess I always try to have some kind of hope that things will get better, and at times they do. I mean, it's always, I mean, you bring out Brock Lesnar and Paul Heyman, and I'll be glued to the screen.
It's not rocket science, people.
I'll, anything that involves Brock Lesnar on the screen and Paul Heyman, which right now there's a bit of a suspension, obviously, in the process of that, obviously, given what happened on the night after WrestleMania edition of Monday Night Raw, which Wayne and I covered a few weeks ago. That's where we left off. But really, I mean, it's, it's give and take with WWE, and, I guess there's always hopes, I guess, that things will get better. I mean, who knows? We'll wait and see. And we'll take it day by day right here in the Great Wrestling Debate. That's why it's, I guess a debate. We debate, we complain, we have a right to complain, because as far as wrestling is, we like wrestling. I guess when good gripping storylines occur, on a frequent basis in wrestling, it's awesome. And unfortunately, we don't really have anything else with wrestling. I mean, it's like, there's, like, imagine there being like one brand of bread out there, for instance. You can only buy, you need bread and everything, but there's only one brand, and if that brand of bread is not up to par, I guess, or whatever, then you certainly have a right to complain, because it's really all you have. And as far as WWE, I mean, that's kind of all we have. I mean, I don't know if there's any TNA fans out there listening who will disagree with that, but pretty much it's WWE, really. I mean, for the most part, as far as this kind of programming goes. So we, fans, we have a right to complain. I mean, people can say, like, oh, just don't watch the product or whatever. It's like, well, no, how about, we just have some more logical I mean, how about WWE do these simple things to make their product better, where, everybody can win, and then, it's just, to me, it's that for the most part. And I'll, again, we'll continue to roll on here with the Great Wrestling Debate until things get, unless things get like that bad that I just decide I can't even watch this anymore. And I mean, I guess to be fair, to some extent, I do, like, I'm sorry, but when, Fandango's out there, I'm sorry, I'm skipping through the YouTube video or whatever, since that's most of, that's pretty much what I do. I'm sorry, I don't really give a crap about his dancing and his theme music and fandangoing, and, however much JBL and Michael Cole and Booker T want to, say, oh, this is great, and it's like, no, please go to the next. Let's get on to something real here. Let's get on to something better, I guess I should say, because real, how the whole fake thing with wrestling goes. Let's just get on to some real business here, I guess we could say, to some business, since real just rolled out of my mouth again. Let's get on to something more gripping than this, in the wrestling world, I guess you could say, in wrestling terms. Not this whole, fandangoing nonsense and dancing and just random stuff like that. And there's other stuff, too. I mean, there's, bathroom break divas matches at times. And, it was the same thing with, what do they call, well, when, for instance, Tensei became Sweet Tea Tensei, and, with the whole thing and the Funkadactyls and Funkasaurus and everything like that, and Brodus Clay, and it was like stuff like that. It's just like, this is a complete waste of time. I'm gonna skip through this now, or I'm just gonna, go up and, I don't know, get something to eat or something, and wait it out a little bit, and then come back when maybe something more interesting is on that's not gonna waste my time as much. So that's, that's kind of that's kind of how I guess I roll, is what I can say with the Great Wrestling Debate and watching wrestling in general. Now, before we, I guess, recap some things that are going on with Monday Night Raw, since again, SmackDown, for those looking for any kind of like SmackDown talk, find another podcast here on YouTube as far as that goes, because I will not be talking, and frankly, Wayne and I have really not talked any SmackDown in a long time. So it's basically Monday Night Raw. That's pretty, that's pretty, in the pay-per-views, obviously. And I do, as I get, maybe I have more time to myself, I want to look into maybe checking out some more NXT down the road. So we'll look into that as well. But anyways, I wanted to start, I guess, kind of as we move on here. Now that we're kind of done with the, I guess the state of the debate address here for the Great Wrestling Debate. I was reading an interesting article earlier that came up on my Facebook news feed. Every now and then I get from like the No DQ discussion group discussing WWE topics and everything. Apparently, I mean this is not confirmed or anything. I mean it's kind of I don't know all the details here, but apparently WWE assigned a letter grade to every fan based on gullibility. According to leaked documents that were tied to a lawsuit filed by World Wrestling Entertainment, revealing that the sports entertainment company assigns a letter grade from A to F, obviously, to each of its millions of fans to denote a given fan's willingness to put up with nonsense and spend copious amounts of money. According to the documents, fans who receive a score of A are the spoiled children of wealthy parents who buy every piece of merchandise on WWEshop.com and who splurge thousands of dollars to sit ringside at pay-per-view events because they get to keep the chair. A fan who ranks an F, on the other hand, is self-described IWC Smark, who only buys sarcastic Top Rope Tuesday shirts, illegally pirates the WWE Network to watch old Clash of Champions events, and spends countless hours criticizing the Fed in online forums. The documents contain the following quick fan ranking guide. Now, A, as we go through here, A, fan wants new Cena merchandise every bi-weekly color change. Thought WrestleMania 31 was the best one ever. Believes it's all real fighting and doesn't try it at home. Well, obviously I can't, if anyone's ever seen my backyard Brock Lesnar reenactment, 2012 return reenactment on a, F5ing somebody on the trampoline, I guess obviously I can't fall in that category. All right, so B. Fan never misses a pay-per-view. Regardless of deleterious effects on social life, does yes chant until arms hurt, quickly forgets bad storylines. That's I wouldn't consider that myself either. I don't know. You see where you fit in with this as well, listening. C, average fan. Kovitz Page doesn't smell great. Contributes $9.99 monthly to WWE. I don't know about that first couple parts. Kovitz Page doesn't smell great. Contributes $9.99 monthly to WWE. I don't know. I don't know about the first couple parts. I guess but anyways, a D. Fan brings giant cardboard Colt Cabana head to live events. Still wears tattered DX t-shirt. Doesn't cheer Roman Reigns. All right, so there you go. And an F. A fan would rather attend an indie show than Monday Night Raw. Remembers Katie Vick angle. Can name entire roster of pro wrestling and OAH. So I don't know. I don't know where we're. It's a little bit specific. But I guess maybe somewhere in here. I contribute $9.99 monthly to the WWE, and I don't know if I attended a wrestling event, I'd probably. I only have a Rock T-shirt from like back in the day, actually. That actually came from a flea market. And I have a Brock Lesnar Eat, Sleep, Conquer, Repeat shirt. So I don't know. Those would be my choices of attire if I was going to I don't have a tattered DX shirt, so I don't know. And then Brock Lesnar, I mean, it's kind of he's not really that PG of a guy. I mean, he's his own, him and Paul Heyman, and obviously he's a draw, and him being around is, points to the nostalgic effect too of, back in the day to some extent. So I don't know. I mean, I guess I'd fall somewhere between a C and a D there, I guess, on that. But at the end of the article here, I guess for what it's worth, according to the documents, the long-term sustainability of WWE is assured because there's an A born every minute. All right, I guess, so I guess moving on here. And speaking of forgetting about bad storylines, too, which this article mentions, again, I don't know how much really to look into this. Maybe it's from kayfabenews.com. For all I know, it could just be a bunch of hoopla. But I actually found it interesting as well because somebody on the as my phone is going a little crazy here in the background, hopefully not coming through on the microphone here. But anyways, I was looking through my Facebook feed again as I normally would, and something from the No DQ, somebody pointed out that they posted a video of when I guess it was 2 years ago when The Rock was WWE World Champion, or maybe it was I remember when at the Royal Rumble 2013 they attacked The Rock and everything, but I actually, they did it on Monday Night Raw one time. I forget when it was. Maybe it was even last year or within the past 2 years when the Shield attacked The Rock on Monday Night Raw. And it's, again, it's kind of one of those things like the poster said, I'm guessing the WWE thinks we've forgotten that Reigns attacked his cousin, and now they're fine. So, speaking of, I guess, short-term memories and logic loopholes and forgetting some of these kinds of things, when it comes to storylines that don't make sense sometimes, and, short-term memories and WWE thinking that, everybody, this was one of those things that kind of, reminded me like, oh, you know what? That's true, actually. The Shield did attack The Rock on Monday Night Raw once upon a time, and they did it at the Royal Rumble with the lights off and everything, of course, for all those who remember. So that's, I remember talking about that, I'm sure, perhaps when it was still TW Wrestling Talk here on the YouTube channel. So I saw that as well, and I kind of, found that funny. So again, it's just one of these things with WWE. But anyways, now we'll get to the, I guess the more of what's happening. I guess more of current events, things going on, and I'll tie into a little bit of last week's episode of Monday Night Raw into this since I didn't really cover it last week. They had one of these things where the main event was a triple threat number one contenders match, essentially, for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship, involving Randy Orton, obviously, who I was in favor of winning because he beat the WWE World Heavyweight Champion Seth Rollins at WrestleMania in the epic fashion that he did, of course, with the curb stomp counter into an RKO, of course, for those who saw it and who watch it on the WWE net, WrestleMania on the WWE Network for just $9.99 a month. There's another plug there.
Wow, moron.
But anyways, so obviously that was a logical choice there. And then Roman Reigns, of course, who was facing the WWE World Heavyweight Champion at the time, Brock Lesnar, at WrestleMania, and of course, we all, that Seth Rollins cashing in, making it a triple threat match, even though, Reigns did take the pinfall. That's goes to show you there a little bit. So I guess obviously you could throw him in there as well in that match. Of course, Brock Lesnar is on suspension right now. until further notice, I guess, because of what he did on Monday Night Raw a few weeks ago. After the night after WrestleMania, and somewhere down the line, of course, he's due for a rematch clause. But so you got Randy Orton, you had Randy Orton, and you had Reigns in there, and then kind of a little bit out of the blue, they decide we'll put Ryback here in the mix. And of course he didn't win. Obviously, he was obviously the obvious dark horse in that situation. But they had each guy in the same night before that main event face somebody, which I don't know. I kind of scratch my head at because, for instance, like they had Randy Orton, have his match like kind of right away early in the show, and then a couple hours later, shortly before the main event, Roman Reigns has to face the Big Show for the 50th time this year, and no surprise, it was another boo fest, and based off of Randy Orton being the guy who won the triple threat match to face Seth Rollins coming up later this at Extreme Rules pay-per-view, which is actually by this point right around the corner. Essentially, based off of what happened in England, Raw Live in the UK this past Monday night, based off of what happened there, with of course with Big Show choke slamming Roman Reigns onto the roof of an English taxi and causing it to cave in. It looks like that feud is going that direction.
Oh my God!
Yeah, so I mean, I don't know if like WWE's just doing this to be funny. Like if they think this is funny, like how many times like the fans were booing Big Show and Roman Reigns out of the building here, and I mean it just continues to be one of those things. I like this is not a good feud for Roman Reigns. Clearly, Big Show. I mean, it's. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I would have been more interested in seeing the new and improved Sheamus, I guess you could say, and heel turned and, kind of mohawk and beard with rubber band ties in it or whatever and everything. This new jazzed up Sheamus who's turned heel. I'd be interested in maybe seeing him feud with Roman Reigns right now. Not, it's you got this younger talent in Roman Reigns feuding with, Big Show now in his mid-40s or whatever, with all due respect to Big Show, and being able to still perform out there. I mean, the fans are just, I'm sorry, it's just, no, I mean, the guy, every time the guy gets ready to talk into a microphone, he just gets booed, and, it's just, however they're using the Big Show, I mean, it's just not working at this point. And it just, it's a further testament, too, to the lack of top heels that they've had, that Roman Reigns, continues to like go back with it, and feud with Big Show. It's like, I don't know what with WWE right now. It's like this whole, they're treating Big Show and Roman Reigns like it's this bratty ex-girlfriend situation that, just keeps coming back, and it's just, I don't know how many matches they've had this year, but I really, I'm not gonna go out and try to Google it or research that and waste my time, because the bottom line is just it's been too much, and it's been counterproductive for Roman Reigns certainly, and in just the promo that they had Roman Reigns, they had like Booker T interview him on Monday Night Raw this past week, and it was I mean again, it just seems like too much. They're molding him too much, sort of into a Cena kind of character, not entirely, obviously, but in just the approach that they have with him. Not, it seems like he's not intense enough, and he, sometimes he's just, a little too cracking a little bit of hijinks, maybe when he shouldn't be, maybe when he should be more ticked off about the way things are going, and then again, it's not. It doesn't make things any better when you have Booker T kind of saying, I believe, you should have won, you should be the guy facing Seth Rollins and everything. And it's like, well, sorry, it's Randy Orton. Randy Orton's facing Seth Rollins, and it's the whole, just typical, I guess, wrestling legend commentator, and kind of praising Roman Reigns and buttering him up too much, and it's kind of like they do with Cena at times, still and everything, and it's not good. Let Roman Reigns be more of, I don't know, more of the guy that when I think he initially was kind of going solo a little bit. I mean, I hate to say it, but that injury may have been like the worst thing that could have happened to him. I mean, we'll take it day by day here, but they brought him back after that, and it's been like some of these Jack and the Beanstalk or Roman Reigns and the Beanstalk promos and stuff like that. Too often at times. And I mean, just because he said bitch in the promo somewhere doesn't automatically just, make it like, oh, there it is. It's intense Roman Reigns. It's, because again, then these times where he just kind of goes, it kind of falls into like this John Cena-esque trap with, character-wise in promos. So I don't know. That's that. But again, like around Money in the Bank time, like when he was first solo and before he got hurt or whatever. I mean, it seemed like character-wise in his promos, I mean, he was all right. I mean, character-wise, I didn't have too many issues, but obviously you have to see, we've got to see some more, I guess, extensive work out of Roman Reigns, at least as a baby face, if you're going to try to make, if you want him to be the next face of the company, or at least a major baby face that doesn't flop and that doesn't get booed out of the building. So that's I guess my little spiel on Roman Reigns. Again, I mean, as far as he's concerned, getting choke slammed into the roof of the taxi by Big Show.
Oh my God!
We'll see how things pan out as we head to Extreme Rules with those guys. But again, I mean, Lesnar's on suspension, so right now it's Randy Orton facing Seth Rollins. And they were making the, I guess, the stipulation, at the end of the night, because, there wasn't, I guess that was kind of the main event. It was that promo. It was them deciding stipulations, of course, after the, if they won their matches and whatever, later on that night, they'd get to pick stipulations. So they each got to pick a stipulation after the, pretty, whatever kind of matches that they had on Monday Night Raw. And so, Seth Rollins starts off by saying, you know what, banning the RKO. Kind of unfortunate, obviously, after that epic RKO at WrestleMania, perhaps the most epic one we've seen. And, of course, after, a couple on Monday Night Raw that we saw, of course, as usual, a couple RKOs out of nowhere and stuff like that. The RKO is apparently banned in this match. That's the stipulation here. At least for what Seth Rollins instituted here, I guess you could say. Whereas, on the other hand, Randy Orton then decided, we're gonna make this a steel cage match. No outside help and whatever else, and no ties to the Authority, because that's your biggest strength. So that is a steel cage match for Extreme Rules for the main event. So I guess we'll look forward to that. Should be a good match. Hopefully not. No. I mean, there might be shenanigans, as there always can be with steel cage matches, but I think I think Seth Rollins wins this here because obviously Randy Orton won at WrestleMania in epic fashion. So I got to think that Rollins, retains here, gets his win back over Orton this time. But I do, since there is no RKO, that does leave the possibility of the return of the punt.
Oh my God!
Well, and see, I mean, that's one of the little things, that kind of attracts me a little bit. Like, maybe it won't happen. Maybe he'll try to go back and do it, and then something happens, or it gets countered or something like that. But you never know. I mean, It's been a long time since we really, seen the punt really, come out of the woodwork. So, be interested to see if indeed, since apparently he can't RKO him at Extreme Rules. I guess so much for Extreme Rules, but it'll be interesting to see. Maybe the punt makes a long-awaited return. And then, as far as other matches on the card going right now, obviously, I mean, you go over to the world of the United States Championship, and the open challenges that John Cena has been offering. I mean, last week it was Stardust, if I'm not mistaken. I just, I wasn't too thrilled about that, but no, I mean, at least this past week, I mean, I think these open challenges, I mean, they're just kind of I guess keep fans attracted, but obviously they're in the UK, so Wade Barrett came out to quite an ovation, as you would imagine, and he kind of pointed out on this, I haven't even done anything yet, and the fans are chanting for Wade Barrett and everything, so they they had a decent, I mean, they had a pretty decent opening match there to kind of kick action off on Monday Night Raw. Cena kicking out of the bull hammer, and in the first AA, I mean, Wade Barrett did kick out of, so you had a pretty decent match here, in Wade Barrett's hometown, but ultimately John Cena hits that springboard stunner, and then an AA for the win. That's another one of, I guess, IWC things and everything. Thoughts on the Cena's new move here that we've seen in recent weeks. I mean, at WrestleMania, I kind of laughed at it. I mean, it was the first time he really did that move, and I mean, now it looks like he's got a little more down pat when he's doing it. It looks a little more fluent, but the first time he did it, which was at WrestleMania, it looked like he looked like he was like this little kid, like trying to, like get up onto the top ropes for the first time, and he was like really being cautious. If you go back and look at it, I mean, he did connect on it, and even the commentators were like, I guess it's like a springboard stunner or whatever. I mean, it kind of threw everybody off a little bit, but it certainly looks like it's a new stain, a new signature move here that's here to stay with John Cena. And finally, I mean, it only took him like 10 years to break that 5 moves of doom cycle, and throw in something a little different in there for a change on a regular basis. So there you go. Springboards. I mean, it's kind of a cool, I guess, a cool move to see Cena do. I don't know your thoughts out there. Always comment on that. I mean, there's open it up right here in the Great Wrestling Debate in the comment section of this video or on the channel or whatever, and keep try to keep it clean and just I guess common sense. Like, I don't want to read about any crap or how stupid you think if I'm a waste of time or whatever. And it's because I know there's haters out there, for whatever silly reason they want to post stupid comments that just don't make any sense and just make them look more like an idiot.
Go ahead, hater.
But anyways, so yeah, the springboard stunner out of John Cena. It's one of the many little, I guess, thoughts out there that you can harp about here in the Great Wrestling Debate and share in the comments section, either on the channel or on this video or any Great Wrestling Debate video, as we roll them out week after week here. So then, of course, Lana comes out after Cena beats Wade Barrett and says Cena mocked Rusev for waiting to invoke his rematch clause, and Rusev runs in from behind, punches Cena with a chain, and knocks him out. And she said, the Authority allowed them to now have a Russian chain match at Extreme Rules. And then Rusev mocks Cena and taunts the crowd with Cena's title. I don't know. It's like, like they said a Russian chain match, and I'm just like, what exactly? I guess I don't know. I mean, we'll wait and see. I guess maybe more of the details on that as they come out. Because again, I mean these things. I kind of just I don't really go out and I don't go too much out of my way to look things up sometimes with WWE, and because I got enough things on my plate, and I'll wait for them, I guess, to on Raw next week maybe to give us a better idea of what that's going to be about.
I just think somebody owes us an explanation, that's all.
We'll see. I mean, we'll see. I guess what this Russian chain match thing is all about. And speaking of this storyline in the Extreme Rule, I don't know if this is the official poster yet, but I'm seeing an ad for the WWE Network, and it's funny. Although John Cena is not the WWE World Heavyweight Champion, although he's I guess only the U.S. champion, which is obviously considered a lesser title and not really the main event. I guess title here. Ironically enough, it looks like from what I'm seeing on at least by this advertisement that the poster for Extreme Rules, it's got the typical X with Extreme Rules in it, and behind it or whatever within it, it's got John Cena's face coated in a face painted with the United States of America flag. So I don't know. You kind of like a little spin-off of the Sting face paint here, at least for the pay-per-view. I mean, you could joke. I mean, with the way this storyline's been going, I mean, Cena's might as well have been coming out with the American flag face painted on his face and everything, because it's the whole Russia versus USA thing here. I don't know. I'm predicting here that Rusev. I mean, it's an early prediction. I have another week, maybe we'll see what happens. But I'm predicting that Rusev gets the win back, gets the title back from Cena. Because again, it's one of those things. I mean, Cena won, the big WrestleMania bout, and as far as I'm concerned, Rusev, he might as well get his win back here. He already, it's already bad enough that Cena beat him and ended his big winning streak that he had and everything. And if you want to, restore strength in Rusev, have Rusev win. So we'll, it was bad enough last year with how things panned out when Cena, the whole storyline with Cena and Bray Wyatt, how that, that was a bit counterproductive, I thought, for Bray Wyatt. And, if you have Cena win again here against Rusev and holding what has essentially been a mid-card belt for a while now, and it's supposed to be designed, for guys to, to build off of, like the Intercontinental Championship, then you have you have Rusev get it back maybe, and then maybe have somebody else win it. I don't know, because then again, I mean, my hopes is that, I mean, you hope to have somebody build off of winning the Intercontinental Championship and the U.S. Championship, but obviously for the anybody who's been watching WWE the past 5 years or whatever, it's obviously that typically is not the trend of things. So anyways, I mean, that's pretty much covers most of the important things of Monday Night Raw right now. I mean, it's the major storylines and everything going on. And that's pretty much going to wrap things up today for this edition of the Great Wrestling Debate. Again, we're kind of getting things back together here, so as we move through on the road to Extreme Rules, we'll continue to break things down, and as we move towards the summer days of WWE as well. So thanks for tuning in to the Great Wrestling Debate, and we'll be back next week sometime and talk about whatever happened on Monday Night Raw, and I believe predict Extreme Rules, since at that point I believe it's already coming up next Sunday. So stay tuned for that. Share your comments on the comment section of this video or on the channel. Well, I guess wherever I'll see it. And stay tuned for next week's edition of